I'm about to share something with you that's going to bring you such immense relief. Are you ready? I'm going to talk to you about how the 80-20 principle applies to community building. First of all, what is the 80-20 principle? The 80-20 principle is also called the Pareto Principle, and it is this concept from way, way back in all these different contexts, from the economic to the social to communities, that dictates that about 20% of your inputs give you 80% of your outputs. That means that 20% of the time you spend generates 80% of your productivity, that 20% of your customers generate 80% of value for your organization. This rule applies to communities. And I know because I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Success is not 100% participation, 100% engagement, even 100% logging in and looking at your platform. Instead, success is between 4 and 20% of your members meaningfully engaging with one another. That's right, you only need between 4 and 20% of your members to be active in order to be deemed a success. This is true because people come to your community for all kinds of reasons. They might be coming to learn something. They might be coming to meet people who can help them on their way to some goal that they might have. Whatever it is, people are coming for a variety of reasons, and they bring with them a variety of contexts. They might be parents, they might be caretakers, they might be pet parents like me. They might be athletes, they might be, you name it, they might be it. And not everyone is coming to your community. In fact, no one is coming to your community with a completely blank slate. People are so busy. They are committed to many things, and your community is just one of the things that is important to people, hopefully. But between 4 to 20% of your membership, your community should be an important part of how they think about who they'd like to become or the progress they'd like to make in their lives. If your community doesn't mean anything to them in those senses, they're not going to show up. They're not going to participate. This is something that Charles Vogel and I talk about quite a bit in the book Building Brand Communities. If people are not making meaningful progress, that there's not progress, choice, and connection with other people, they will not continue to participate. But the Pareto Principle dictates that you really only need between 4 and 20% of your members to generate over 80% of whatever value might be created by your community. So why do I say between 4 and 20 if the 80-20 principle is 80-20? Where does the 4 come from? What I've noticed in my work is that time and time again, there's not 20% of members that are hyper engaged, but instead 20% of that 20% are your critical members in your community. You live and die by these members, okay? They are your ride or dies, as I've talked about before. They are so important. Without them, your community might crumble. And I've heard this from really large communities as well as really small communities. This operates both at the small micro scales and the macro scales. Now, this doesn't mean to aim low. What it actually means is that you should spend a disproportionate amount of your time, let's say 80% of it, focusing on those 4% of members who are showing up again and again. They're contributing, they're active, they're reaching out to you with feedback. If you nurture that core, you will see incredible returns. Incredible returns. Oftentimes when we look at the results that communities can create, whether that means increased lifetime value, increased word of mouth marketing, all kinds of these incredible outcomes that organizations say they want, what we're really seeing is 4% of people are often creating most of that outcome. And what you're seeing is that other people are benefiting immensely from the work of others, whether that means that 4% of people are organizing regional meetup groups and the rest of people are showing up, whether it means 4% of those people are responding to a lot of questions, whatever it might be, you really, really want to focus on that core, those 4% of members. Now, if you have a group of 100, I want you to think about who are the top 4 people who, if you develop deeper relationships with, it would have an enormous impact for the rest of the community. And really spend your time there, develop those relationships. Because I promise that you will have a way better outcome if you focus on just those 4 than if you focus on 40 people who aren't quite right for the community. This should bring you immense comfort, because it really means that success does not look like 100% of people participating, but rather something between 4 and 20. And that is a much more attainable goal. And as I said earlier, this applies at the micro and macro scales. I've seen it in communities of 100, and I've seen it in communities of 100 million. Truly 100 million. All scales. So that's where you want to focus your time and energy. The 80-20 principle is really what should be guiding you. Not 100% success, but actually just 4 to 20. Good luck out there and happy community building.